Welcome back. So let's get gradually to the softer side of things, and you're going to love this particular one that we're bringing to you. Content creation, but with a different slant to it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Ofuebu Promise, content creator, to Morning Brief on Channels Television. Promise, it's so good to have you on the program. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So your job as a content creator is to educate us on what goes on at the National Assembly and the typical day in the life of the National Assembly. So I want you to first of all speak to how you came about this particular gap in knowledge about how Nigeria's National Assembly functions and why you decided to provide this intervention.
All right, thank you very much for having me this morning. I basically started off as a computer scientist. I studied computer science in school, but over time, during my IT, I was privileged to do my IT at National Assembly, but not in the main complex. During my service year, I tried to do it somewhere else in a media house, but lots of media houses turned me down. So I just returned back to National Assembly because I knew someone who gave me the opportunity to work there. So returning back to National Assembly, I went further beyond just looking or just at coming to work. I wanted to really understand in depth what really happens at the National Assembly, because if you look around, a lot of we the youth do not really understand, most especially the upcoming ones, the Gen Zs, millennials and the likes. We don't really understand the inner workings of the National Assembly. So I used this opportunity. I also had to attend the National Assembly School, an institution called the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies. I enrolled there with my own money, got the knowledge, and I thought to myself, this is a gap a lot of people do not understand, because I go out there and what a lot of people say out there is not corresponding with what actually happens at the National Assembly. So in order to bridge that gap between what really happens at the National Assembly and what people know out there or perceive the National Assembly to be out there, I had to just jump into content creation and educate people about what happens at the National Assembly, a regular day in the life of a senator or an honorable member, various committee hearings, what happens at the committee hearings, and just generally throwing more light generally at the legislative arm of government. Because to me, the legislative arm of government is a very, very critical part of governance. It's a part which we do not critically look at. An average person looks at the executive arm of government, want the executive arm of government to provide everything, but what does the legislature do? What are the roles of the legislature? You know, how can we harness the legislature to account or to request for good governance? So making people really understand the power of the legislature. To me, the legislature is actually one of the most, or even the most powerful arm of government. You know, not to downplay the other arms of government like the executive and judiciary, but with the legislature, you can hold your governor accountable, you can hold the president accountable, you can hold your local government chairman accountable. If they are not doing things right, it is through the legislature you can use to hold them accountable. So that basically prompted me into going into content creation about the legislature, most especially the National Assembly, where I found myself.
All right, Promise, let's do a quick one on some of the processes, because I've seen a couple of your content. So walk us through how maybe a senator, a member of the House of Reps, for instance, how the day begins and ends for a typical, let's say a typical day in the life of a legislator, let's say the Senate, for instance. So maybe in 2 minutes, if you can walk us through so that Nigerians understand the work that is involved.
All right. So basically, the National Assembly sits 3 days in a week. That's on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. They are usually supposed to be at their constituencies on Mondays and Fridays, as well as the weekend, to engage with their constituencies. So on normal, they're supposed to sit Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. So usually plenary resumes by 11 a.m. And once senators resume plenary by 11 a.m., most of them just go to the chamber seats, while the principal officers, including the Senate President, the Deputy Senate President, and all other principal officers, most likely gather at the Senate President's office. when it's time for them to resume, they all move to the chamber where all senators stand up to welcome the Senate President, which is statutory, which is normal. Once plenary starts, they start off with the prayers. After the prayers, they ask for motions or maybe anything anybody wants to present from their constituencies, maybe to notify the Senate about one or two things. The Senate President will ask for it, which senators will now let them know about it. From there, the Senate leader would read the order of the day, which is usually on the order paper, and they take it order by order. That is, maybe if there's a bill to be considered, if there's a motion, they all take this step by step according to what is on the order paper. They usually do not go outside the order paper. They only stick to what is on that order paper. So after they exhaust whatever is on the order paper, usually plenary ends by sometime around 2 p.m., but usually they extend beyond 2 p.m. If they are not able to exhaust what is on the order paper, they will extend beyond 2 p.m. to sit till whatever time. But this is usually made known by the Senate leader, who would raise the motion that we should extend plenary beyond 2 p.m., which is their regular sitting time. And after extending this, they exhaust what is on their order paper. From exhausting that, they close plenary for that day. From there, most senators go for committee hearings, public hearings, or even oversight functions where they go to meet various MDAs, talk to them. If there's an investigative hearing, they ask them about maybe money missing or things that they need to account for. And this could stretch till maybe 5 o'clock, sometimes 6 o'clock. From there, they have to return back to their office to meet with their constituencies, interact with them, engage with them, hear them. And most times, some senators close or work by, say, 8 o'clock, some 9 o'clock, depending on how busy that day might be. So this is basically just the way an average day in the life of maybe a senator or an honorable member actually goes.
And that's a full day, but really, they are elected legislators, so no apologies for them working long hours. But it is also from your content that I've gotten to know the 5 topmost, most punctual senators, and also from your content that we know that a legislator must sign in as they arrive at the National Assembly. But very quickly, for those who do not attend or who do not show up for legislative business like in other organizations, will the funds, the allowances and the salaries of that day be deducted from their monthly package?
Okay, so a senator is supposed to attend plenary at least 181 days in a year, on an average. Now, there are certain reasons that could hinder or stop a senator from, or another member from attending plenary. It could be they are going for oversight functions. It could be they are having engagements back at home. So some of these could be things that could hinder or stop a senator or another member from attending plenary for that day. But generally, a senator or an honorable member must attend plenary at least 181 days in a year. If you don't attend at least to this minimum number of times in a year, there will be obviously penalties at the end of the day. Most likely your salaries might be cut short or your allowances might be cut short generally.
Okay, it's good to know. Talk to us also about the value of the work you're doing as it is received by Nigerians. And this is important because of the general disaffection about the humongous salaries and allowances that our legislators go home with as against the value of the work that they bring. So how is it being received? How is it changing the perception of Nigerian legislature?
All right. The content I've been creating so far has been enlightening. A lot of, I believe within this short period I've been creating this content, I've been able to at least impact a little bit of knowledge into people. If you look at Nigeria today, you look at the content we are churning out there, over 80 to 90% of the content we Nigerians, or an average Nigerian you put out there, it's just basically to, as they say, catch crews or just put out blank content without any value to people. But I'm going beyond that to educate people about the parliament. This is what they do. Yes, the people complain that, yes, they receive a lot of salary, their allowances are a lot, but to me personally, it goes beyond just that. These salaries are being used for a lot of things. They are not to defend them, no, not to defend them, but it goes beyond just what we see. it goes beyond just the cars. It goes beyond maybe the flashy cars and what they dress like. There's a lot of work that goes into this. Meeting of constituencies in a day, lots of constituencies in a day. And at the end of the day, these constituencies they might not just go home empty-handed. As a senator, you have to give them something. As an honorary member, you have to give them something just to pacify maybe the hunger or maybe a grievance or whatever it is, just to calm them down. And you have to dole out cash every day. You know, you look at the breakdown of an average senator's allowances, you see hardship allowances, you see few other allowances here and there. If you categorically look at this, you will see that each one has its own purpose. There is supposed to be, now I don't know how many people know this, but every senator is meant to have a place every month or every quarter. They are supposed to engage with their constituencies. So you're supposed to build a town hall. Every constituency is supposed to have a town hall where every senator is supposed to go there and engage with their citizens or with their constituents. Take, for instance, when we had this tax reform bill, every legislator, every senator, every honorary member is supposed to go home.
I'm not coming at this point. We hear the justification for those allowances time and again, but the jury is out there about whether or not the legislators are doing a justification to, you know, the expenditure in their constituencies. But we appreciate the value of your work, and those who appreciate the value of Promise's work say aye. And the ayes have it. Thank you so much. Ofegwu Promise is a content creator who has joined us on this conversation from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.